Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, got an interesting topic here that I want to discuss with Bud Buddies. His legion of fans that get pissed at us every time we do a video on him, no matter what. But they'll probably get pissed about this one as well. But before we jump into this video, I would like to welcome those of you who are new to the channel. This is the Angry Man Podcast at M Sports Media, where Jason and I are always dropping boxing-related content, so make sure you become a subscriber. And for those of you who are regular patrons of the channel, make sure you smash the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you're engaging. And also, this is probably, Jay, and this is just my personal opinion, one of the best produced YouTube boxing channels out there currently. And we ask that you all support us, man. Super chat, super thanks. Those things are always welcomed here to help support the channel, grow the channel, and move the channel forward. So, Jay, let's jump into this particular topic. We're talking about Terence "Bud" Crawford here today. He has a big fight coming up against Canelo Alvarez. And what sparked my interest in this whole topic, Jay, was really looking at Tim Bradley. Shout out to Tim Bradley. He did a breakdown on the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He called it an unbiased take and prediction on the fight. I would say that it's biased just because anything that comes out of Tim Bradley's mouth relative to Terence Crawford with him winning is going to be biased in my mind, right? Because they're buddies, right? They're buddies. But at the end of the day, I would say it was as unbiased as could be, depending on the source that you have. So Tim talked a little bit about the fight and how he saw the fight playing out, basically saying that he thought that Terence Crawford could actually get behind early on in the fight, and that Terence Crawford would then have to start to make those adjustments mid-rounds, and then he could see Terence Crawford then, taking the rounds later to ultimately win the fight. And I thought it was an interesting take. He was saying that, Bud's going to have to, actually punch. He's going to have to, be careful. He mentioned that, Canelo Alvarez, one of the things that makes him a little bit afraid of this particular fight is that what if Canelo decides that he's going to punch with Terence Crawford? That's one of the things that I've indicated relative to Terence Crawford, what could be something that could be seriously dangerous for him if Canelo chose to do that. So we talked about all these different things, but the issue that I've had with everybody that has broken down this fight, and I'm talking about Antonio Tarver, Tim Bradley, Roy Jones, Breadman, all these individuals that have broken down this fight and claimed that Terence Crawford is going to be victorious in this fight. I just feel that they leave out context. And I think it's similar to what we saw in terms of Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Not all of us, including you and I, saw the appropriate context relative to that fight, and the results were the results. The context, and Terence Crawford talked about this in his, I think it was an interview with Hot 97. I wish I had the clip up, but Crawford specifically talked about what could possibly be his demise, Jay. And I want to dig into that a little bit because I think it holds true. When you think about Terence Crawford, for whatever reason, people are processing whatever they've seen in the past in relation to Terence Crawford, whether it's, the hand speed, the power, the ability to counterpunch, all these different things. But in reality, that won't be the same Terence Crawford because of the incremental size. I saw a weigh-in of Terence Crawford. I sent it to you, where Crawford looked like a Somalian. He looked like one of those kids off of those videos that had the flies on their mouths that you were asked to send, just a penny a day. He looked like that, bro. He literally looked like that in that video. If you guys want to know, I'll ping the link in the comment section. But so he's not going to be that same version of Terence Crawford. It's just not going to happen. As he gets bigger, he's going to get slower. The reflexes are not going to be there, etc. But the thing that I feel that he has predicted is the age, Jay. The age. He talked about going up to 168 and them boys get big up there. But also he said, man, I'm about to be 36. Well, in this particular case, by the time he gets this fight, he's going to be 38. Man, Bud he's up there. So you're adding additional weight. You're adding impacts to your reflexes. Yeah, you may add a little strength, but impact to your speed. All these different things are going to be happening to your body. And then you compound it with age. At some point, you fall off of a cliff. And all it takes is a little bit of changing in your timing, specifically if Canelo decides to punch with you, to knock you clean out, make you become one with the earth. Jay, what are your thoughts on this?
Hey man, you better be cool, calm that stuff down. Talking about Aquabud,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Aquabud don't play that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you're
He
right.
can do anything. But no, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's funny how back then, he was more being realistic about things,
Mm-hmm.
about his age. They make weight classes for a reason. I
Yeah.
fight him at a catch weight. Then all the stuff it started changing and changing. He started thinking about them dollars is what really started making his mind change. Not saying that he feel like he's gonna lose. Any fighter that's out of top letters don't feel like they can lose to anybody. I get that. But they have some type of doubt because that's what he put in the beginning. They make weight class for a reason. He's gonna be 36 at that time. And they big up there. We know Canelo in stature is shorter than Canelo, it's shorter than Crawford. Doesn't have the range as Crawford, but he's been fighting at 168 for what, 5 years, if not longer. So he's been up there already. Been fighting guys that come in at 200 pounds. So for Bud, yeah, you gotta be realistic. Father Time is undefeated. It happens to people, happen to fighters in all athletes in all sports overnight at times. One minute they look great, then the next minute it look like they aged overnight. It can happen to anyone. Not saying this is exactly what's gonna happen to Bud, but it is a reality. It's possible. Canelo's not young, but he's younger than Bud, and he's not talking about feeling old or anything like that. Bud was. So I mean, Bud does know he has some limitations, but we'll see when they fight on September 13th what's going to happen. If Father Time comes in there and just taps on the shoulder, hey, you 38 now. He chose to throw that punch, and he punches like a 38-year-old instead of a 37-year-old, 36-year-old, 26-year-old. The Bud fans really think Bud is going to be a 26-year-old Bud in this ring, and Canelo's going to be a 49-year-old Canelo. It doesn't work like that.
Well, how much you want to bet? I can already tell you what the responses are going to be in the comment section. Man, Bud always in shape. He always trained, man. He ain't never out of shape, so
No,
he's preserved. Or, man, you saw what if Bernard Hopkins can do it, certainly Bud can do it. So, it's possible. Bud.
now,
So,
I will say that I will say this real quickly. If Bud had been at 168 for some time,
mhm.
that I'll feel different about this. But him just jumping essentially from 147 to 168 with no acclimation to the weight class or taking hits from those type of fighters, actually in a fight, not sparring, that changed the whole playing field for me.
Man, we'll see what ends up happening. I know they're going to have those excuses in the comment section. They're not going to consider the context that we just said, which is it doesn't matter how preserved he is. He's operating at a higher weight class, which is going to affect them negatively in some areas. But they're going to completely dismiss that. You guys, let us know what you think in the comment section, though. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe, and support the channel. This is the Angry Man Podcast and Sports Media, and we are out.